Welcome back, Legacy Legion. I'm sorry that I haven't been posting, but I got really sick with the flu last week. So I wasn't able to do any commentary or any recording, and I apologize if my throat gets a little dry or raspy today. But we're gonna return back to our weekly events with Black Saga Storm versus Naya Depths. So this is Yossi on player one side, the left hand side, and myself as player two. Yossi gonna mulligan. So I do have an advantage here. I know that Yossi loves playing his Storm variants, so we know that he is on some sort of combo Storm deck, and there's not a ton we can do in game one, but post board, we have our Deafening Silences and everything in Naya Depths, so we're mostly expecting Yossi to just kind of take over this game as long as he doesn't mulligan too hard here. So we see he's considering pitching a Mishra's Bauble. So we see Infernal Tutor, Lotus Petal. I think there's a Dark Ritual in there as well. There's a Lion's Eye Diamond. I start off with a Windswept Teeth. We are holding Crop Rotation and Besiju for sure. We know that he is a Storm variant, so whether or not it is mono black, the Besiju could be very good because we can, if he just randomly plays out like an early Wish Claw and kind of relies on that as the tutor for his turn or for his game plan, then the Beseiju can really hinder that. Other than that, we don't have a lot going on. So here he has Lotus Petal, Mishra's Bauble, Mox Opal, and then here I'm just assuming that he's just gonna go off now. So there's this is definitely what you want to be seeing as a Storm player. Double Lion's Eye Diamond into Mox Opal, Lotus Petal, Mishra's Bauble. So Storm count is at 5. Going to pay 2 mana from one from the Opal, one from the Lotus Petal. And there's an Infernal Tutor. Most likely holding priority, gonna crack these 2 LEDs. So from the Mishra's Bubble, we're just gonna assume that he's mono black, especially with the Infernal Tutor. So I don't think he generates anything other than black mana. Discarding a Cabal Therapy. Looks like I am trying to respond with the Infernal Tutor on the stack. I'm not sure what I could be thinking of. It could be the Crop Rotation, but I don't know what I would even consider getting. There's no utility land that kind of stops him from whatever he's doing. So it's just gonna resolve. So with 6 black mana in the pool, this is a pretty easy ad nauseum. The only thing is that it's going to be rough if he can't find a Wishclaw Talisman. Reason being is that there's 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds in the graveyard already. So if he tries to go the Infernal Tutor route, he's going to have to dig really, really deep to find a discard outlet to find the Tendrils of Agony. The plus side is there's so many like 0 and 1 drops in Black Saga Storm that he could quite easily just pick up his deck. Like, not his entire deck, obviously, but here we're going to see Ad Nauseam just go off on turn 1. So the Storm count is at 7, so he doesn't need to dig too deeply here. So there's a Swamp, Mishra's Bauble, Dark Ritual, Urza's Bauble, Chromok. So he has enough spells to cast, so he just needs to find a way to get Tendrils and cast Tendrils. So there are 2 rituals in the stack already, and there's so much artifact mana that he can cast Tendrils no problem. So he's either looking for a Lucky Lion's Eye Diamond into Infernal Tutor or just a Wishclaw Talisman. So there's one of the Infernal Tutors. If he does go for the Wishclaw Talisman, it is a little bit more mana intensive, but again, there's so much artifact mana in Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, and then you just cast a bunch of the baubles to get Metalcraft. It shouldn't be any issue, especially now that he has a bunch of Dark Rituals. I think he has 3 in the pile. There's a Wishclaw Talisman, so there's a tutor. Doesn't need the Lion's Eye Diamond anymore, so he can just stop now. And I think we're just going to make him go through the motions just because we're on camera here. So he's just double checking what he has. But This is in the bag. Got to play one Windswept Heath. This is a great return to content. So there's the land for turn from the swamp. I think, is he trying to Thoughtseize or Duress just to check to see? I don't quite remember this game. Yeah, there's a Duress. So I think he just wants to be absolutely sure here that I don't have just a trick up my sleeve. So we have a double crop rotation, Beseju, Yavamaya, Sylvan Library, and a Windswept Teeth. So we were pretty primed here for like an early Dark Depths, especially with the double crop rotation and the Yavamaya Cradle of Growth. Could use the crop rotation to grab the Thespian Stage. Turn 2, we get the Yavamaya. And then turn 3, we just play a random land and then make it into a Dark Depths and have a turn 4 kill. Alas, the Storm deck is faster. So there's Yossi casting a Lotus Petal. Gonna turn it into a bunch of Dark Rituals. There's one. So now we are in Tendrils range at 10 spells. And then probably just a bunch of other rituals. Goes up to 7. And then one more ritual. Yep. Goes up to 9 mana, then down to 7 playing the Wishclaw Talisman. Then goes down to 6 to activate the Wishclaw Talisman, finding the Tendrils of Agony. Yeah, so I think I just asked him to show it to me. Alright, so we did see a Burning Wish. So one of Burning Wish. And that'll be it. So we're just going to go straight into game 2. Alrighty, so we are here in game 2. Yossi is now up a game. And I will be on the play. So the main strategy here in the sideboarding is I do have 2 Deafening Silences, a couple of Mindbreak Traps, and I think I do bring in some of the Force of Vigors. So what we're mainly cutting is the things that kind of help us go into the late game, just because Storm aims to end the game pretty quickly. So we're cutting Sylvan Libraries. I think we cut one. I think we keep one of the Minskin Boos in. But we're cutting 2 Sylvan Libraries, a bunch of Swords to Plowshares. We do keep a couple in just in case, because Black Saga Storm can really easily pivot into the the Saga part of the deck name, which is Urza Saga, and just kind of beat us down with construct tokens. We have a couple Force of Vigors, a couple Mindbreak Traps, and a couple Deafening Silences. Mindbreak Traps and Deafening Silence to stop the Storm portion of the deck, and then we already have pre-board Collector Oof and Outland Liberator. So hopefully, I know the Outland Liberator is a little bit slow, but he can kind of blow up a crucial artifact if needed. Mainly being like Wishclaw Talisman, but Yossi's pretty good enough to not just throw it out willy-nilly. So we will be looking to tie it up. Yossi going to quickly mulligan here, going down to 6, not waiting for me. So there's a crop rotation. We're going to mulligan and join Yossi, going down to 6 cards. Okay, so Yossi pulling out Surgical Extraction, Mishra's Bauble, couple Urza Sagas. Oh, double Urza, or double Surgical. And an Ancient Tomb. All I can really see in my hand is a Plateau. Yossi bottoming one of... No, he kept the both Surgical Extractions. So I think he might have dumped a basic. No, I don't really recall. So I will start off with a Savannah and pass the turn. Yossi will draw. Plays Urza Saga for the turn. There's a Mishra's Bauble as well. Storm count 1. And passing the turn back to me. I will draw. There's a Windswept Heath in my hand, as well as a Wasteland. Wasteland neatly takes care of the Urza Saga. However, I don't really want to play it unless I have like a follow-up threat, so hopefully there is something. It doesn't look like there is. I think that might be an Endurance. We're just gonna try and slow him down and get rid of the Urza Saga. So he's gonna crack the bauble. Reveals a Sajiri Step. Is he gonna draw during his upkeep and then draw for turn? Down comes a basic Swamp. And there's a duress. So I think that was like off the top, either from the bauble or for the draw for turn. There's an endurance, green sun zenith, crop rotation, and a Minskin boo. So I think here you might want to take the Minskin boo. It is arguable. This is like a really tough decision. You could take the Green Sun Zenith and kind of cut off my utility because now I still have access to Collector Oof. Actually, yes, I think the correct decision is to take the Green Sun Zenith. So he's just going to Surgical Extraction, take the Crop Rotation. So this makes me... Like, I am not worried at all in this circumstance because I have Minskin Boo in hand already. I can opt to see if I can top deck a land. If I can top deck a land, then I can Green Sun Zenith into a land and then just go straight into the Minskin Boo. However, I think the best, like the strongest play from me is to just wait until I have 3 mana and then slam a Collector Oof because it turns off a lot of what the Black Saga Storm can be doing, and then they can only really... They'll have to start to rely on the Urza's sagas. And if they're only relying on the Urza sagas, then we're gonna have plenty of time to find like a 3rd mana or a 4th mana for the Minskin Boo. Then we can also play an Endurance for some extra pressure as well. But Yossi not having much, he really only kept the Surgical Extraction, and I think he was just kind of leaning on this Urza Saga. But even then, his hand is a little bit weak. Gonna pass the turn to me. I will play the Windswept Teeth and just pass the turn, just waiting and hoping that he doesn't have another discard spell for this Green Sun Zenith. Down comes a Vault of Whispers into a Wishclaw Talisman. So do we find the 3rd land, is the question. So we're just going to fetch out a Plateau, just to give us some red source. There's a Wasteland to take care of a future Vault of Whispers. In hindsight, the Plateau should really be a Taiga, but it doesn't really matter at this point now that we have a Collector Oof on the board. So now his Vault of Whispers no longer taps for mana, so Yossi just sitting there with 1 black mana and a Wishclaw Talisman that he cannot activate. Yossi plays an Ancient Tomb for the turn, drew a Dark Ritual off the top. Gonna pass back to me, and we're just gonna slowly beat down with a Collector Oof. So yeah, the mistake was I made a mistake of fetching for the Plateau instead of a Taiga. Plateau can be fetched off of Flagstones of Chokair, but even bigger is that now I can't cast this Endurance, which is a big mistake on my part. There's 2 mana, exile a Wishclaw Talisman, just kind of doing things, because I think I'm expecting to just use the Wasteland on the Ancient Tomb. Just trying to bide my time. There's a Mox Opal off the top for Yossi. And we're just seeing the Collector Oof kind of do its thing here. Casting a Mox Opal, this is a mistake, just because you kind of just want to save it for your Storm count. Like, there's no reason for you to cast it in this situation. I did not use the Wasteland. Interesting. I think we're just trying to find a 4th mana for the Minskin Boo then. Kind of close out the clock a little quicker there. There's a Mishra's Bauble off the top. I'm going to cast a Mishra's Bauble, play a Vault, and then pass a turn. This is Yossi just performing actions just for the sake of doing things. I'm not sure why I didn't cast a Minskin Boo here. There's a Collector Oof. I'm very curious as to why I'm not casting a Minskin Boo. Yossi top decks a Chrome Mox, gonna crack the Windswept Teeth, find the 2nd Savannah, and I think we're just gonna cast an Endurance here for extra pressure, targeting our graveyard. No, neither the Reliquaries or Elvish Reclaimers, so don't really need the lands in the graveyard. And we're just gonna swing in for 5, make the clock into a true turn clock. There's a Swords to Plowshare in my hand, and yep, that will be game 2. So here we are in game 3, the final game of the match. Yossi is on the play as I won game 2. Yossi is currently mulliganing down to 6 cards. So one I've decided to keep. One of the deciding factors was because I had a Veil of Summer in hand. So if you try to go off very early, I can protect myself with the Veil of Summer. The only issue is that Yossi is going first, so if he can go off on turn 1, it gets very bad. So I have Collector Oof in hand as well as an Elvish Reclaimer, and I think there was a Raminov Excavator in there as well, but mainly the reason I kept it was the Veil of Summer. Because if he tries to go all out on the Veil of Summer, or if he tries to go all out in one turn and I can set up the Veil of Summer protection spell, then I have enough time to kind of draw out of keeping a 1 or 2 lander. So Yossi is going to keep his 5, gets a City of Traders, and quickly goes into Lotus Petal, Storm Count 2, access to 4 mana. So I think he is trying to go off this turn. Gonna crack a Lotus Petal. There's a Dark Ritual into a second Dark Ritual. So Storm Count is now at 4. And then into Wishclaw Talisman. So at this point, there's like absolutely nothing I can do. I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable here because... Actually, what is he tutor for? He only has 4 black mana, I think? Or does he have red mana as well? I don't think he has red mana. I don't know what the... I think it might be 2 colorless. Ah, because of the City of Traders. So he had Lotus Petal. So he has 4 black and 2 colorless. So there's an ad nauseum. So basically, I'm just thinking to myself that this is game. Ad nauseum turn 1 twice. Oh, he needed to use 1 mana to pass me the Wishclaw. There's a Thoughtseize. There's a Wishclaw. So there's one way out of this for me, and it's happening right now, and it's he hits all of his tutors and just a tendrils, and no, just like miss all of his mana rocks and all of his rituals. But there are 2 dark rituals in the grave, so we're really, really afraid of just seeing Lion's Eye Diamonds. Luckily, he's seen all of his Wishclaw Talismans now. There's a Dark Ritual. There's a Feed the Swarm. He goes down to 5, getting really risky here. Hits the Tendrils, goes down to 1. So this is not where he wants to be. So he does have 1 Dark Ritual in the hand, but doesn't have much else. So there is a Chrome Mox. So he does have access to the 1 mana, which he grabs immediately. The Storm Count should be at 7. Okay, so I think he's missed 1, so it should be at 8. Yeah, there. So I think he's just missing 1 mana. He couldn't find 1 more source of mana. So the correct play might have been to just risk it and flip. It's unfortunate that he whiffed on each of them, but lucky for me. This was actually our only out. I wonder if he flips over the top card of his library just to check at the end of the game. Because I don't think there's a way out of this now. Yeah, he just doesn't have the last point of mana to get the last tendrils, or to cast tendrils. Because he does have the Dark Ritual, so he can only get to 3 black mana. And it would have killed him anyway. Those are the risks, the 50-50s of ad nauseum here. Till next time.